Ian Evatt, the former Blackpool and Chesterfield centre-half, has quickly become one of England's young and most exciting new managers, taking his first managerial job at the age of 36 at non-league Barrow. Despite the low playing budget, Evatt made Barrow into the most exciting team to watch in the non-league with his attacking, possession-based 3-4-1-2 formation. Known by the fans and the media as Barrowcelona due to their attacking style. In his second season, he guided Barrow to an unlikely league championship, despite not being one of the frontrunners for the title that season. Evatt then moved on to relegated Bolton Wanderers, and in his first season guided them back to League One, and for the 22-23 season saw him revert back to the 3-4-1-2, which led the Trotters to the playoffs, losing narrowly to Barnsley over 2 legs. However, he did manage to pick up the Papa John's trophy, blowing away Plymouth at Wembley. Patreons, the tactic is now available for you to download via the Patreon site, link down in the description. Right, let's take a look at some stats from Bolton's 22-23 campaign to give us an idea how Bolton play, and then we'll look at building that 3-4-1-2. Right, one of the main problems Bolton have actually suffered with this year, as you can see, only 63 goals, ranking only 9th in the division. And then one of the big issues is that the fact that they are actually created chances, an XG of 671.41, so they're underperforming by a fair bit. I think they're the second most underperforming team in the division with expected goals compared to goals. They were second in the division for ball possession, 56.1%. They had the lowest PPDA in the division at 7.4. And then interestingly, their challenge intensity, so this is how many challenges, defensive actions they do per minute, and they're up there with a lot of the other teams that were down near the bottom, in particular Accrington Stanley. I think they got relegated. I think Bristol Rovers didn't have a great season. Oxford didn't have a great season either, I don't think. It does show that they are, despite being a possession-based football team with that high possession numbers, their work off the ball is at a very, very high level in terms of intensity. And the last stat is a really interesting one. This is deep completions, which is sort of like a non-cross pass that is targeted to the zone within 20 metres. So basically working it into the box in terms of FM terms. And as you can see, 417, an average of 7.93, absolutely a million miles ahead of the teams that are below them. So obviously they're really key on trying to work that ball into the penalty area. Right, so they are the stats. This is the tactic I've put together. Now, it's important to kind of understand that tactical flexibility with Ian Evatt is absolutely massive, and depending on the players that he's got, not often changes the tactic in terms of the formation, but the rules often change. Something that I'm going to be looking to do a little bit more of FM. Players, in particular, like a Shota Taylor, who came in on loan from Manchester United, plays very different to maybe a Dempsey who played in there, maybe played even different to a Kieran Lee that has often gone in there as well. So, being prepared to change it, have loads of options off the bench. He often named 7 substitutes, a goalkeeper to give him more opportunities to change things attacking-wise. And he's also renowned for doing attacking changes when holding on to a lead. So, this is what we're going with. We're going to do the team instructions first, actually. That'll give us an idea of how they generally play. So, positive mentality, absolutely number one. Playing out from the back. Fairly wide attacking width. Now, we've done this because what he's trying to make sure is that when there's a turnover in possession, the team is a little bit closer together. So when you're doing like a gegenpress, a counter press, you do want players a little bit closer together. So he doesn't have, despite his fullbacks obviously getting quite wide in possession, they generally play a little bit narrow. So if it's here with the left back, instead of the wide player being tucked out on this right-hand side, he'll often tuck into a central midfield position. And then as the player recycles round, he will then go wider as the player develops. So that's why I've put that at just fairly wide attacking width. Play out from the back, absolutely. Slightly shorter, despite having high possession numbers, they often go into the strikers, in particular playing with a target man sometimes. He did that very well at Barrow with Scott Wigley, and has had sort of like target options at Bolton over the last couple of seasons. Higher tempo, move that ball quickly, work into the box. Obviously that deep completions we were after, miles ahead of everyone else in the division, so we've got that on, with be more expressive. Out of possession, when possession is lost, a counter press. Remember that very, very low number in terms of PPDA, so we want to recreate that with the counter press. When possession has been won, we've gone hold shape. Because we're a possession-based side, we're not keen on counter-attacking quickly. They do counter-attack. It has been a thing, but just to try and get those possession numbers up, try and get as much control in the game as possible with the ball, we've got hold shape on, distribute as well to the centre-halves. And then out of possession, high press, high line, trapping outside, something they've done. It more so at Barrow. Basically, they wait for the ball to go across to a fullback and then they go. It's normally a wing-back stepping up. It's normally a striker going across. So we'll maybe look at that in the opposition instructions after we've gone through the tactics, just to give you an idea of how they set up pressing traps. Okay, into the player instructions. We've got sweeper keeper on defend. I've got that on defend just so he recycles possession a little bit more. No player instructions. Wide centre-back on support on this right-hand side. Because of the right winger, the right wing-back getting a little bit higher, it does allow this little bit of space to move into for the wide centre-back. So that's why we've got him on support. Gethin-Jones is kind of a right-back converted into a right centre-back. And he does have pretty high dribbling numbers, progressive carry numbers for a defender. And as you can see there, player instruction, dribble more. Santos, I've put him as a ball-playing defender on cover. He stays in the middle of the three. But what he does have in his locker is these long switches of play. I can't remember if he's actually left-footed. No, he's right-footed in the game, but I have seen him do switches to both left and right. So we've got him as a ball-playing defender on cover, and hopefully he can find the wing-backs who are maybe getting up a little bit higher. And on the left-hand side, just to give us a little bit of balance, we've just got the defender Johnston as a wide centre-back. It does go into these areas. Not absolutely huge on carrying the ball. Does do it at bits, and you will see that defender doing it. But obviously they're supporting the wing-back, but not necessarily going on these long runs that you might expect the right-hand side to do. Into the wing-backs, we've got Bradley. I think he's going to be a big miss. I think he's actually on loan. Yeah, he's on loan from Liverpool in the game. They're going to miss him this season. He was actually the highest in terms of progressive carries, up there with assists as well for the football club. So they're going to definitely miss him next season. Dribble with the player instruction, dribble more. Onto the left-hand side, bog standard, wing-back on support. No player instructions. Into the midfield, we've got Morley, deep line playmaker on support, no player instructions. And then Dempsey, box-to-box midfielder. I think that adds a runner in here because we're quite not much running. It's a bit more of a support role with the wing-back and the defender. We want Dempsey going on. You could even potentially have that. I have changed it in games at times. Get further forward when we're just trying to maybe break maybe a low block. This one, the number 10 is the most interesting role. This has changed. Even at Barrow, he played John Rooney, Wayne Rooney's brother, played him as an enganche, generally a deep line midfielder, had him higher up playing as an enganche and managed to get about 17 goals from that position in their title-winning season. Now, I'm playing Choratieri up there at the moment. I've got him dribbling more, obviously, as the advanced playmaker. I think that role depends entirely on what you've got. I think at times they've even dropped this player in here to dictate from deep. But that could be literally whatever you have in your squad at the time. I think if you play like maybe a Kieran Lee, more of an aggressive 8, it could be just even a bog standard AM. But maybe try and get an enganche in there. That would be pretty cool. And then the front two, once again, flexibility, depending on whoever they have. I've gone with a target forward for this dude. Not even going to pronounce his name. Adebayojo. Have I got that right? Maybe. A transfer that they did in January obviously will have a bit more of an impact for Bolton this year. I've got him as a target forward, but he could quite easily be a pressing forward. And on the right-hand side, we've got a poacher. Charles was lead goal scorer for Bolton last season. That could change. Wigley played as a target forward, pressing forwards, advanced forwards. Whatever you've got, get that combination. As long as it's a combination that works well, you've got kind of a target forward who's going to work more to feet and drop off. And then you've got maybe someone who's going to go in behind and threaten in behind with a poacher and an advanced forward. Very quickly into the opposition instructions. Basically what I've been doing is trigger pressing the fullbacks. And I have to do this by game. So trigger pressing the fullbacks, just like that. And then what I have actually been doing at times to initiate the really aggressive press, I've been going in here to the team instructions and getting them to go and mark the fullbacks with the wing backs. So I'd obviously put the right wing back. I'd get him marking either the left back, doing it in there, or during the game, I would maybe do that and have that ready in there, just so that when that press is gone, rather than having the fullbacks working in a back five and having him in here, he's going to trigger press and then they jump. And what they do is Bradley would go in there, Choratieri would move across, everyone would move across, the centre halves would move up as well if we just get them in more of a, I know this isn't right, but getting them into a more advanced area, so it would look a little bit like that, out of possession. Obviously, a midfielder would come across, striker would come across, and then they use the touchline here as an extra defender, force play, and win the ball back in these wide areas. You two wing-backs have to be so aggressive, so fit, great stamina, great pace, good dribblers. All right, guys, I've done a few games. Look, just show it tactic does work. There we are. We've only lost one game. Problem at the moment, we're not scoring enough goals. 58% possession as well, so doing extremely well. Loads of passes into the final third that we wanted. created the most chances in the division, which is frustrating. I feel as like I've done this at Ian Evatt tactic perfectly to Bolton's struggles this season. All right, guys, that is it. Remember, it's Tactics Weeks on the channel. Tomorrow is Ten Hag. We've got Arteta. We've got Southampton's new manager, Russell Martin. And we've also got Messi's new manager, Tato Martino, as well, to finish off the Tactics Weeks. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. See you later.